Perhaps houseplants wither because they've never known resistance, and dandelions bloom in concrete because their roots have fought through rock. Resilience is born of necessity, and we are ready for this. Hey, it's Cecil, and it's Monday, and today we are, instead of doing like a regular cosplay makeup sort of thing, we are doing something a bit more avant-garde. And I recorded this video yesterday, except that I hit pause while I was waiting for part of the makeup to dry, and I thought I unpaused it, but I didn't. That's fine. I never do a practice run for my makeup looks, and maybe I should. So maybe that was just a sign from the universe that I should practice first and that I should have an outline of things to talk about. I don't know. Maybe. I've been thinking a lot lately about the concept of resilience. I've got my mirror here, so that's where I will be looking for a large portion of this. Resilience is one of those things that I kind of hate being. It's something that was born out of necessity, from being queer, from being disabled, from trauma. It's something that I never really had a choice but to be. And I know there are a lot of people who are similar. A lot of times our resilience is a fragile resilience. We seem to bounce back very quickly, but it compounds until eventually we feel ourselves completely crumbling. I have definitely crumbled. At least that's sort of what happened, I would say, in about 2019. Going and going and going and never giving yourself time to actually grieve. Never giving yourself time to actually grieve is not necessarily a sustainable resilience, if that makes sense. It's fragile. It eventually crushes you under its weight. And this time I'm not going to pause so that I don't make another blunder. The reason I talk about this now is because in the current political climate, we are being bombarded with a lot every single day. There is a lot of policy being introduced. There's a lot of information every day coming to us through our phones. And if you are a part of any sort of marginalized community, you are feeling it. In order to get through all of this, we are going to have to figure out a sustainable resistance and a sustainable resilience. Because if we burn out right out of the gate, then what? That's the scary part. Now, the good news is that most of us are already pretty resilient people. Again, by just the nature of circumstances. But also, again, a lot of our resilience comes from just kind of powering through and tuning it out until it's all too much. That's just kind of how humans do things, unfortunately. Because that fight, flight, freeze sort of thing, our bodies just keep going. And then when it perceives that it's safe, it'll kind of do its little crash, I think that I'm seeing a lot of that overwhelm in a lot of online spaces, and that's super valid. Everyone is grieving and scared. And I wanted to offer some encouragement on how to maybe feel a little bit less overwhelmed and scared, or at least some advice for managing that. One of the executive orders included that the federal government would no longer be recognizing any sort of identity-based months. So that's Black History Month, which was last month, February, Women's History Month, which is this month, it would be Pride Month, etc. Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, so on and so forth, with all of the different months that there are. And that is a symbolic gesture on their part to basically say, we don't care about you. And, that's fine. We kind of already knew that a lot of the federal government didn't care about us. Which, not a comforting thought. But they can stop celebrating all they want. It doesn't mean that we have to follow suit. Also, I know that this looks really janky with all the brushstrokes. I promise I know exactly what I'm doing. Even when it feels like all hope is lost, there are people who care. There are people who are fighting. There are people in the courts overturning some of these executive orders because they are out of line with presidential power. There are people working hard to keep the community as in the loop on things such as public health, even while the public health departments are failing us more than they usually fail us. But hey, that's my perspective as a disabled person. This is now scarier than what it normally was. There are always people who are helping and doing their best to get word out about important issues. Always. So. And I will link some of those people in the description box. The Stonewall riots were in 1969, and as we talked about in a Pride Month video a while back, maybe 2 years ago now, there was celebration among the queer community to celebrate the anniversary of that event. But it was not until 1999 when Pride was recognized on a federal level. Black history has its roots in a week created in 1926 by an organization that I cannot remember, so I will make sure to put it on the screen. Oh wait, I wrote it down. ASALH. In 1926, they did a Black History Week. And it was not until 1976 that we had an officially recognized Black History Month. Women's History Month started as a Women's History Week in 1978. The week was recognized in 1980, first celebrated nationally in 81, and Women's History Month was officially established in 1988. Disability Pride Month was established in 2015, and it has never been federally recognized. We will survive this particular thing. I think we all know it's largely symbolic. It's supposed to send a clear message of how they feel about the idea of anything that deviates from the white cis heteropatriarchy. We know that, though. We already knew that. Some people didn't know that. Some people are surprised. Give them time to be surprised. That's really all you can do. I hate the saying that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Even if it's true. I don't care that it's true. Things like this should not have to happen in order to create strength. I think that challenges making you strong. I think that's kind of essential. Things need to be hard sometimes. That's a part of the human experience, right? Trying a new skill and not immediately being good at it and having to learn it, that's a type of challenge that can make you stronger. But it will make you stronger anyways, even though it shouldn't have to. And that is worth noting. I'm sure at this point you've probably heard someone on the internet talk about it, where in 1990, scientists had created this greenhouse space, Biosphere 2, where trees had and other plants had everything that they needed to thrive, but they grew weak roots because they didn't have any wind stress to kind of force them to buckle up against something and become stronger. And I do think that it is possible to have a world where instead of it being, outright freaking oppression, that it could just be things like doing something that's challenging for you and actually sticking with it even when it's hard. I think that is the best way to grow strong roots for humans. But regardless, the wind stress that we are enduring right now, it'll have to work for right now until we can build that world. Again, resilience is one of those things that sucks to have to be, but at the same time, some types resilience is one of those things that sucks to have to be, but at the same time, everyone has to be resilient at some point. Our point is right now. Which sucks. We were promised a better world. We were promised a more tolerant, loving world. And instead we've got this. Right now, they are explicitly, they've said it with their words, doing a tactic called shock and awe. They're doing as many things as quickly as possible to try and overwhelm us before we can regroup and react to it. It is used in war. Which means the best part, or the best way to fight back some of this, is to simply withhold your reaction for a bit, which is hard because it's overwhelming and you want to react all at once, right away. What an outrage. And I get the impulse. But when we react to everything, when they're doing so many things, it is something that will very, very quickly burn us out. They are working to instill a sense of urgency and the feeling that we are the only one who is feeling this way. Those are also characteristics of white supremacy culture. Hence why they're creating those feelings. See the connection? It is important to slow down and connect with others around you who are feeling very similarly to how you are feeling. It's nice if they are close to you, but you know there are spaces online to go if there is not anyone who is physically close to you to share in that grief. Because we are not alone in our feelings. I know that it looks bleak, and I can't tell you how to make it less bleak. All I can do is inform you that you have to take breaks, because if you don't, you will burn out. Plain and simple. You will have nothing left to give. And we need you. We need you to still be able to do something. And no one person can do everything. So you have to find the thing that you actually can do. If that's making art, if that's handing out mutual aid and local resource type zines in your area, if that means sharing ideas with organizers, if that means attending protests, if that means just boycotting from your home, there is something everyone can do. Maintaining connections and maintaining a sense of belonging is going to be essential for getting through all of this. Another thing, though only for those who are personally safe enough to follow this advice, would be to not self-censor preemptively. Don't tell them what they can get away with. I know it's I know it's tempting to basically go back in the closet, to hide as much of yourself as you can, and obviously there are some groups this applies to more than others. But don't hide away your queerness before they've forced you to do it. Don't show them what they can get away with. Don't let them get away with this, you know? Remind them that we are here. Be loud. Be visible. Be safe. My gosh, be smart. Don't talk to cops. Don't tell people about your trans friends or your immigrant friends that you don't know and trust completely from before everything. But for you, if you are safe enough to maybe let the world see your queerness, don't shy away just yet. Don't tell them that they can get away with completely erasing us by doing it ourselves. Because we, much like a stubborn dandelion growing out of the cracks of concrete, are more resilient than they give us credit for. Queer people and other marginalized identities, we've suffered before and we've suffered worse. And I don't know if this will turn into something that is the worst it's ever been. And I'm not going to try and make you feel better by saying no, it will never get that bad. But what I do know is that we cannot let them overwhelm us. We cannot let them divide us. And we cannot do their work for them by hiding our existence. before they've made it necessary. Again, obviously, this is only for people who are safe to be loud, right? If you have people around you that make it unsafe or you're more vulnerable, anything like that, obviously, this is not about you. It is okay if you need to keep yourself safe. But for those of us who maybe have a bit more privilege and who are generally pretty safe right now, it is important for us to get out there and to never let the world forget that we exist, and we have always existed, and we always will exist. Meet your neighbors. Learn their names. Offer them some extra vegetables that you know you're not going to cook before the end of the week. Help them shovel their driveway. Lend them your lawnmower. Talk to people. The people around you are important people to connect to. I know that it's hard. I know that, especially in red states, you may feel incredibly alone in your community. And I'm not going to argue about whether or not you are, because I know that you know your area more than I do. But I still encourage you to know the people around you. You don't have to tell them every little detail of your identity, but knowing your community, that's useful. We will always pull through, and empires always fall. If you like this style video, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below if you have any more slightly organized advice to give to people. This is all just stuff that I've been told over the past couple years, and it's resonated. Some of it I heeded immediately, and some of it I did not and came to regret it. Yeah, leave comments with any more bits of hope or bits of comfort. You can follow me in the links in the description box below, including my Discord, where you may find some people who are also stressed about all of this. When I get information, I try to send it in the announcement channel, like stuff regarding public health or policy type things. But it's not super news heavy. I try to keep it to like urgent matters, you know? So yeah, definitely feel free to join us there. Share this with somebody who maybe needs the reminder that we will always be here. And if you have not done so yet, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.